We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin. Over the past months, there's been a lot of discussion about reconciliation. Nancy Pelosi recently stated that she doubted Build Back Better could be broken up because it is a reconciliation bill. Protesters confronted Kyrsten Sinema in a public restroom, demanding that immigration reform be put in the bill. It has become clear that most people are unclear about how reconciliation works. So we're going to go over what reconciliation really is. So to start with, reconciliation is a tool. It's a special process that makes legislation easier to pass in the Senate. Instead of needing 60 votes, a reconciliation bill only needs a simple majority. Now, reconciliation cannot be used for every bill. It can only be used for financial bills. So, reconciliation starts with the Congressional Budget Resolution. The budget cannot be stalled in the Senate by filibuster, and it does not need the president's signature. If the budget calls for reconciliation, it tells certain committees to change spending, revenues, deficits, or the debt limit by specific amounts. Each committee writes a bill to achieve its target, and if more than one committee is told to act, the Budget Committee puts the bills together into one big bill. That bill has special status in the Senate. Like the budget, it cannot be filibustered and only needs a simple majority to pass. In its annual budget resolution, Congress sets total spending, revenues, the surplus or deficit, and the public debt. The budget may also include reconciliation instructions. These instructions direct one or more committees to recommend changes to existing law to achieve specified changes in spending, revenues, deficits, and/or the debt limit. In the Senate, the resulting reconciliation bill incorporating those proposals is considered under expedited procedure that limits debate and limits amendments. Like the budget resolution, a reconciliation bill cannot be filibustered in the Senate and therefore needs only a simple majority to move to a final vote. However, there are limitations on the substance of what can be included in a reconciliation bill. Although a 60-vote majority in the Senate can override any objections. So something else that's been mentioned in conjunction with reconciliation is something called the Byrd Rule. And it's named for Senator Robert Byrd. The Byrd Rule was first adopted in the mid-1980s to limit extraneous provisions from inclusion in reconciliation bills. Because reconciliation bills are considered using expedited procedures in the Senate, the Byrd Rule is aimed at preventing the use of reconciliation to move a legislative agenda unrelated to spending or taxes, and to some extent, it limits Congress's ability to use reconciliation to increase deficits, at least over the long term. The Byrd Rule prohibits the inclusion of extraneous measures in reconciliation, defining extraneous as follows: measures with no budgetary effect, i.e. no change in outlays or revenues, measures that worsen the deficit when a committee has not achieved its reconciliation target, measures outside the jurisdiction of the committee that submitted the title or provision, measures that produce a budgetary effect that is merely incidental to the non-budgetary policy change, measures that increase deficits for any fiscal year outside the reconciliation window, and measures that recommend changes in social programs and Social Security. In a nutshell, reconciliation is used to ensure that disagreements between parties do not stop budgeting for the U.S. government to operate. So those protesters that went after Sinema in the public restroom never stood a chance because immigration law is not a budgetary matter. So it can't be used by the rules of the Senate in a reconciliation bill. People need to learn how these processes work before they start complaining about the results. That's the raw, naked truth. If you have a topic you'd like us to look at, you can contact us at xvadio.com/connect. You can find every episode at xvadio.com/podcasts, as well as the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.